This year, the Goodman Theater invited me to revisit Crowns, coming on its 10-year anniversary. And I'm surprised that it's been 10 years. It was 10 years ago that I was called by the McCarter Theater, and they said, we have this book that we'd like you to look at, and if you're interested, we'd like you to develop this into a theatrical piece. I looked at the book, and I went, oh my God, I know all these women. And I'd never met them before, from Darlington, South Carolina, and I'm from Dallas, Texas. It was in exploring the tradition of African-American women wearing hats, their crowns, to church, that I started thinking about that tradition. I was back home in Dallas, and I was telling my mother about what I was researching, and she took me through her closet. She's not a hat queen in that she owns under 100 hats. But she walked me through her closet, and each hat had a story about a birth, a wedding, a funeral, major markers, passages in a life. And then she took me back through and told me another story about each and every one of those hats. And I got it, that these hats collect a life, a person's life. And that's what we passed down. It was with that first production of the Carter Theater that I got my first real hat, which was this big brimmed hat with iridescent feathers that moved when I moved. And it was that same hat that I wore to my mother's funeral, collecting stories, collecting a life, what we passed down from one generation to the next, and what we do with that. I collected her hats. What we do with that then, moving forward in this life. I got that in terms of working on this piece. So it's a pleasure now to come back to revisit it, to re-envision it with the support of Goodman Theater. With that, it's been really great meeting Mr. Bobby Wooten from Chicago, knowing that gospel came from Chicago, the birthplace of gospel, and working on new pieces that we're creating new songs for this piece with the support of the Goodman Theater. Working again with Diane McIntyre, who was choreographer for Colored Girls and Beloved, and Joe Turner's Coming Gone on Broadway. It is tracking our traditions and celebrating lives, and what we do with those traditions, passing that on to the next generation, whether that's with the music which comes from Africa, over the ocean, the field hollers, through the gospel, through rap, or if that's the movement of Africa that went through the Lindy Hop to crumping today, exploring those traditions, and also the privilege of making connections through the city, that the Goodman is a bridge through the city, connecting communities together, whether that's with Gospel Fest, whether that's DeSable Museum or NCA, or the gospel choirs that we're inviting to perform at the Goodman Theater, to spoken word groups. It's a privilege to re-envision this piece in Chicago. I'd like to make the announcement of some of the players in Crowns this time around, which feature extraordinary actresses from Chicago. That is Miss Felicia Fields, who played Sophia on Broadway, a Tony-nominated actress, to Ife Butler. One of her most amazing performances was Dinah Was for me, as well as Caroline or Change. And Alexis Rogers, who is a staple of Chicago, and I saw her last time in Porgy and Bess in the Port Theater, and she was truly amazing. I'd like to introduce a new person, very special and very talented newcomer to Chicago. I think she's still in school, and her name is Jasandra Johnson, and she came to us in an open audition and made a very lasting impression on everyone she encountered. And we had the good fortune of capturing her amazing journey to Crowns on video. Faithfulness.
my life changed in the last 15 minutes. I was just accepted as the member of the Crowns cast as Velma. Cried my eyes out. Miss Regina brought my parents up. They met her. We took talked some more and started crying again. So. Good mercies I see, all I have needed, my very first audition with Crowns was here at the Goodman Theater. My parents and I got here at 5 o'clock that morning because, of course, I didn't know really what to expect because it was my first actual audition anywhere. So I got here early, super early, and it went very well. I met Miss Logan and Miss Regina and everybody, and it was just really a great experience. I have no words right now. Thank you to everybody who's involved. Thank you to my parents, everybody. Thank you.